Media Men Online. I'm Jeremy and I'm here with Dan. Say hi, Dan.
What's up?
Let's start the day off with a little bit of news. And I mean a little bit, as in one piece of news.
One piece of news in the last 3 episodes combined.
We checked the entire Google. There's nothing else.
So this is a rumor. This is from Bounding Into Comics. And the headline is, new rumor details Marvel Studios is looking to adapt The Punisher with Jon Bernthal, which, for those if you don't know, the actor, it is the same actor that was in the Netflix series and the one that appeared in Daredevil. So that's
yes.
Good. Do it! Jeremy's favorite Marvel character. And yeah, so it looks like we're going to be getting a...
Isn't Judge Dredd a Marvel character?
No. Judge Dredd is a comic character, but it's not Marvel.
I thought Marvel was comics.
Batman's not Marvel either. But
no, Batman's DC.
Yeah.
But Judge Dredd is... Wait, Judge Dredd's DC?
No.
No,
there's many... There's Boom Studios, there's all different kinds of publishers, and there's indie comics, and Marvel.
Which
and
publisher
DC
is Judge Dredd?
Publishers. Judge Dredd is IDW, I think.
I would have sworn that the Judge Dredd movie had Marvel on the thing.
No, that's not an MCU. It says the publisher is 2000 AD and IDW, there we go. That's per Wikipedia. But anyways, so it looks like we're going to be getting some more Punisher action, which I'm glad to see, and hopefully this leads into some of the other characters that we lost with the whole creation of Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. Because for those that don't know, Disney Plus, when Disney decided to start with that, they essentially canceled all of the Marvel Netflix series. So you're not going to get Daredevil or Iron Fist or, the other ones there. So,
or the one that matters, Punisher.
Punisher, yeah, the literal one we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, what are your initial impressions that we're going to be getting some more Punisher?
I mean, it's just a rumor, so it's probably true. I mean, The Punisher was a very successful series. Netflix, if I remember correctly, wanted to do another season, and Disney was like, nope, give me that back.
Yeah.
So I think that means that Disney is probably going to make one. It's going to take them longer than Netflix would, because I think Disney just takes longer to do stuff than Netflix does, because they sometimes read the script before they greenlight stuff.
Yeah, and they gotta mash in there. That's why I'm surprised that we're gonna get the same character. They gotta mash identity politics in there somehow. So be prepared for that.
The Punishette?
Yeah. The Punished. She's into S&M. Yeah, I'm interested.
If it's as good as The Mandalorian, then I'm looking forward to it. If it's as good as the Star Wars sequels, then we'll have something to talk about.
Yeah, be warned on The Mandalorian, by the way. Season 2 is going to be much different. I can almost guarantee that. Based on what I know about today's quote art. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
I mean, The Mandalorian came out during today years, and it was good. So
no, but here's okay, I'll get into it then. Here's what they do. The first time, it's going to be about the story. It's going to be about building the world. The second time, after they've got you hooked, is going to be about, whatever kind of identity bullshit they want to do. So,
can you give me an example to back this up? Like
Gears of War 4 to Gears of War 5, Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2.
But I mean, wait, were those
Marvel
movies?
Weren't
Disney projects though?
No, but that's just how it goes. Trust me on that one.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I mean, it's 20% odds at best.
Yeah.
they want to sell some Green Yoda. I mean, Green Yoda, that's redundant. They want to sell some Baby Yoda, and I don't think they're gonna I don't think they're going to go and mess with the Mandalorian like that. I think the worst case scenario for the Mandalorian is it gets boring.
Right. It will
So
be.
they just fall into like monster of the week, and then they have like a 3 series run with an enemy that no one really cares about. That's the big risk to me.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep an eye out on that
But I
as we
don't think the
go.
timing there matches. I mean, The Last of Us was in production a long time. It's not like this is something that's. I mean, unless they're making these plans based on release dates, which would involve them starting this back in 2011 in a giant Illuminati cabal. I
No,
just
all
don't
they had
think
to
it's
do
there.
was say, "Are you guys ready for Last of Us 2?" Hear all of the groundswell about it because people enjoyed the first one, and then as soon as they get you excited, they'll show you trailers with just Joel and Ellie, and then as soon as the game comes out, or in this case, as soon as the freaking um the entire like story and everything gets leaked, then you're screwed. Then that's why all this stuff happened with The Last of Us, because it got leaked first. They would have sold way more copies with the illusion that the story was still about Joel and Ellie. So, and Gears of War did that too.
I,
The first
I'm,
trilogy was about Marcus and his buddies. The second trilogy was supposed to be about JD. Gears of War 4 is about JD. Then the first, I think, 2 chapters are about JD. They kill him off, and then you got to be this chick that nobody cares about. So take that with what you will. And those are just the 2 examples off the top of my head. I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it, there's going to be plenty more. But
the moral of the story is that if I didn't care about the series, it's going to go downhill anyway.
what do you mean?
Gears of War to me was a game that had a chainsaw gun in it, and then everything else was just boring.
Really?
No, Gears of War is like, would you like to play a refrigerator with arms and legs? Like, no. Well, here's 5 more of them. I just didn't. It's not
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, okay.
Cover-based shooting was interesting for a while, but it became a plague. If
Mhm.
only we had a open world cover-based shooting with towers, we could really hit that peak. Jeremy doesn't care.
Sure. That's fair
I
enough.
just cover-based shooting it's kind of boring. When the first couple times did it, it was innovative and interesting, but then there's only so many times I can hide behind a slab of cement and not want to go and get a snack.
Fair enough. It's not for everyone.
And I don't think Gears of War was like the original cover-based shooter. I don't know what it was. Maybe Mass Effect. Don't quote me on that.
No,
But
no, definitely not Mass Effect.
Mass Effect wasn't a cover-based shooter.
No.
Hold on,
I do remember the Division and the Division 2 being cover based, but those came out well after Gears, and I don't. Gears of War was the first cover based shooter I played, but I off the top of my head, I don't know of any others.
maybe
But
we should make this like a larger discussion when we're not just spitballing it.
yeah,
But yeah, just maybe I don't know. Maybe I didn't like cover-based shooting from the very beginning, and I'm just misremembering it.
sure.
But the fact of the matter is that just the look of Years of War bored me for whatever reason. Except for
Wow.
the chainsaw. The chainsaw was cool, but I just really didn't want to play with the refrigerator people.
Yeah.
They don't look like humans.
Sure. And that's why, you wouldn't have been invested in any of the characters, so it makes senes.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if they told me what planet we were on, maybe I would have cared.
plan is Sarah. Does that help?
Nope.
No? Okay. Back to the Punisher. I'm just all worry aside, I'm glad it's the same character. I hope they don't return to some sort of origin story. I mean, for God's sake, everyone's seen the Netflix one. Everyone, at least, who's going to see this has seen the Netflix one. At least, for the most part. just continue on with the story. You're keeping the same character. There's no need. If you want, you can do a 30-second flashback or something.
Uh-huh.
Obviously not pulling directly from the Netflix series for copyright reasons, but if you wanted to just flashback, peek in, on
Yeah, just shoot your own scenes of the same story, like Batman does every time.
But don't do a whole origin episode and waste one. Give us more of this guy being a psycho.
That would be. I think that'll be the first time that if they do that, that'll be the first time we had a reboot with the same character.
With the same actor, right?
Yeah, with the same actor. Just imagine like Tobey Maguire getting bit by that spider again. having a fight in the lunchroom with a different 12-year-old when he's like 30. Yeah. That'd be weird.
Yeah, similar situation would have been if the Fantastic Four, who was owned by Fox, now that Fox bought them out, if they took, Chris Evans and Jessica Alba and the other two actors, I don't know who they were, and just did the original Fantastic Four movie all over. I mean, ugh. I have weird nostalgia for those movies, the original two. But I think if I went back and watched them, I don't think they'd be very good.
Did you ever see? If you want to just get a taste of it, just look up the scene where like the guy flames on and then makes like a sauna in the snow by accident, and then like a model gets in there with him. Like, yes. Lady, you just saw a man burst into flames, and you're like, oh, well, let's have some sex.
Yeah.
What could go wrong on this mountain without any rescue nearby? Like, they weren't next to a ski lift. This was not a safe area to be getting into explosions.
Yeah. Well, at least when that went by the wayside, he was still Captain America, so that's good.
Very different characters, but I don't think he's the reason why Fantastic Four was awful. So you got to give him credit as an actor.
Yeah, possibly coming up on a future movie review, Fantastic Four with Chris Evans. So.
And then we can watch the second one and really hate ourselves.
Yeah, the Silver Surfer one, right?
Oh man.
My God.
All right, speaking of movies we don't like.
Possibly. No spoilers.
Speaking of movies I don't like.
Speaking of no spoilers, spoilers ahead for Twinsanity. Also, when I was looking this movie up, just to get the synopsis off IMDb, it has an alternate title called Downward Twin. Did you come across this at all?
Yeah, I couldn't find it on Twinsanity. I think Netflix renamed it just for Netflix.
Sure.
So they could, maybe people will be fooled into thinking they have a new movie.
Yeah. Kudos to Netflix, because that name is way better than Downward Twin.
Downward Twin's a different movie.
Yep.
Wow.
Downward Twin on Pornhub. Okay, so Jeremy and I viewed this movie. This movie is my fault. I'll take full responsibility for it. So the synopsis is: abandoning the yoga business she shares with her twin sister, Celeste sets out. That's a tough thing to say. Celeste sets out to forge her own identity, but her plans are derailed when her desperate twin stops at nothing to bring her home, which is about the nuttiest thing I can think of.
Yeah, because the entire synopsis talks about the second half of the movie.
Yeah. The weird thing is, and we're gonna get into this later, but this is based on a true story. Did you happen to check out my news article I put in here?
No. It's
all right. We'll get into that later, but this movie. So I don't know if you. I was gonna ask you this, but I shouldn't have put this in. But I was gonna ask you: did you know it was actual twins playing it, or did you think it was the same character or the same actor playing two characters?
Well, given the quality of the movie and how good they were talking to each other, yeah. I was 95% sure it was two different actresses.
Yeah.
Because if you spent that much effort cutting those two together, then the rest of the movie would have been a lot better.
Yeah. So it's Carissa Strain is Celeste, Katie Strain is Leanne, and Eves Bright, which is a great name, played Sergio, and those are the only three I decided to put in here because, while it's almost a 2-hour movie, there's very few characters in this movie.
There's the redhead that makes pancakes. I don't know why she's in the movie.
Just so she can get murdered. That's her entire reason for being in the movie.
Okay, now I know why she's in the movie.
Yeah. So this movie cost $4 million to make. There was no digital, or there was no theater release. Came out in 2018, June 18th, 2018. So,
for $4 million, it's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, well, no-name actors essentially, but, and there's not a lot going on, to be honest. Because really, what was the $4 million spent on?
Cameras.
Yep,
they had to crash a car.
That's true. All right, where do you want to start with this this beautiful disaster of a movie?
Well, this movie is foreshadowing the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There is literally nothing that happens that you won't see coming if you manage to look up from your cell phone during the movie.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch this with your girlfriend, she's not going to ask you what's going on.
Yep.
Because they tell you what's going to happen before it happens several times. Like, in the first, 10 minutes of the movie, it's like, okay, the movie's named Twinsanity. And then, one of the opening shots is, the headstand with the scar. She's like, oh, don't show the scar. Like, they filmed an entire handstand and didn't think about the scar, which is, her defining feature as a person.
Yep.
And, then they spooned for a bit.
So Celeste, just for context, she, as a child, fell down the stairs, had spinal surgery, and one of the twins has a big scar down her spine.
Yeah, so. And then she asked, oh, where were you when I fell? I was behind the banister. I mean, I was asleep. It's the most ominous, it might as well have said, at least it's not raining.
Yeah. So,
as soon as they say that, oh, she pushed you down the stairs.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I spent a good chunk of this movie trying to figure out which twin was hotter. Did you go through this at all?
No, I thought they did a good job making them identical. They could have switched places 8 times. I would not have caught it. Could you tell them apart at the end of the movie?
Yeah, I could tell without looking at the scar which one was which, because you could just kind of tell Leanne had this look in her eye, Okay,
but that's because they're acting.
Right. But she also
they have the same eyes.
Kinda. The Leanne's were a bit more green, and Celeste were a bit more blue. I'm not kidding. That silence tells everything, but I'm not kidding. They looked a little different to me, but you could tell right from the beginning without, if you had it on mute, which to your point they were acting, you could tell which one was going to be the crazy one based on how they looked,
Yeah.
So essentially these two girls are going to open a yoga studio in California, I guess. Who cares? And their mother dies and leaves them a good chunk of cash. This is after they're already planning to... This is what was really weird about it. It's opening in a couple of days, this new studio. Then the mother dies and leaves them money, right? So why, when... This is jumping ahead a little bit, but why when Celeste decides to pull out, does the other sister get so pissed? What? They were that far into debt with this other dude?
Okay, the amount of money was $20,000 that she took out. I saw the transaction because when she said they were broke, I paused it and looked at the screen for the dollar amounts. Just because I was like, I wonder if these people know how much it costs to open up a studio in California. They don't. They have no idea how much that shit costs.
Oh my God. millions. Maybe
Well,
not millions, but it would cost
no.
a lot to open a freaking anything in California. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I forget what city they were in, but I recognize the name, so it must be expensive.
Yeah. And does that mean that they paid off the studio but they had no other money? Is that what the
I I,
problem
as-
was?
I think it was a lease.
Okay.
But like
Fair.
even when you get a lease, I mean, you have to usually those things either come with what the business had before you moved in, or they come completely stripped out because they took everything with them.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if you want to open up like the cheapest kind of restaurant you can,
Yeah.
you're dropping like 60 to 80 grand in equipment and seating and decorations.
Yeah.
And if you're doing an expensive part area, then all those contractors cost more. And so when they're forgetting over 20 grand, I'm like, what's the big deal? I mean, their business loan must be at least 300,000. What are they talking about? And they're like, oh wait, it's a dumb movie. Why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like trying. Oh, let me do the calculations on this. Let me do the calculations on this movie about a woman who like this kind of studio they're doing. She's basically a model who does yoga, and they
Yeah.
haven't bothered to have her scar fixed, even though it bothers her so much. Like you
Right.
can fix that scar.
Yeah.
If you have perfect teeth and a giant scar, you're making a decision.
Yep. So, can we talk about the pineapple?
Yes. Oh my God.
Okay.
Did you have a note about that? I was like, why is she cutting pineapple like that? She left the rind on it.
So
They're
there's a
sitting there gnawing
scene.
on it like an animal. What are they doing?
There's a scene where the sisters are kind of arguing in the kitchen, and the crazy one, Leanne, is cutting up this pineapple, but she's cutting it like you'd cut like a loaf of bread.
No, not how you cut a loaf of bread.
No, not
No,
just
she
like
was
right
cutting
through.
it like you cut potatoes when you're
And
mad. She was doing like the hold on, hold on, I'm doing the sound effects. Listen, and then I said it's like that. Just like angry potato cutting is what she was doing, but she left all the rind on the pineapple.
yeah.
And she didn't core it.
No, and there were zero even cuts. It was like one chunk was super thick, and then she was cutting one piece like into fucking French fry size pieces. It was really just strange. I'm glad we both had that because that was one of my favorite parts of the movie because it was nuts.
Also, like those are gonna eat a whole pineapple. Like that's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Also, like
So,
that, like you're gonna mess up your mouth with that much acid. Pineapple kind of digests you back when you eat it. Don't eat a ton of it. It's good, but I mean, that's why you gotta put it on pizza so you can denature it a little bit by in the oven.
no pineapple on pizza. This is gonna
Yes.
be big debate.
Just cut it up, put it on the pizza with the rind on it. Don't clean that bitch. Just put it in there and chew it.
Put it on the pizza. Then before you cook the pizza, take it off and throw the pineapple away. um
I will
oh
say this for the movie though. It actually had one good twist in it.
yeah.
I did not see her taking her half of the money. I was sure that the evil twin was going to leave her stranded and with no money, and
Yeah.
then Sergio was going to save her financially. But no, she just gave it to him.
Yeah.
Inverse simping.
Yeah, so my next little section I wanted to talk about was when Leanne is jogging through the town, wherever the hell they lived on. This is irrelevant at this point. And
Now, Leanne is the evil one.
yes. And there's this dude that comes up. He's like, "Oh, Celeste." And she turns around and takes down her hair so she can cover the fact that she has no scar. And she's talking to this dude. I would guess the dude was probably 38, 35, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, how you doing? Catching up, that small talk." He's like, "Yeah, I'm still over at my mom's," and things like that. And then this Leanne chick straight bangs this dude in an alley while he's calling her Celeste.
I mean, they did a good job of selling her as like crazy messed up.
Yeah. So
Also, once you're that age, like, isn't your mom living with you?
yeah, yeah.
Like, because he
That's
was taking care of her, I think is the whole plot of why Celeste liked him and Leanne thought he was a loser.
oh sure.
You know, because those two just let their mom die alone.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Like, there was no phone call with mom about her being sick. It's literally, oh my god, how's the flooring? And mom's dead.
Yeah, that's a good point. But she
And
just
Celeste didn't
straight
do any grieving, so they're both a little messed up.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that was all about, but
Like
banging the dude
they
in
didn't
the
even bother
alley
to get
is
some
my
fake
favorite.
tears to put on her face between cuts. Oh no, I am sad.
Yeah. We've
Frowny
all been there
face.
though.
Oh, one thing that annoyed me, I'm just going to jump around because we skipped the first one. This movie had 2 dream sequences. I was like, this could be some Freddy Krueger shit coming. No, they just did 2 sequences because they had to have some way to put something in the movie that happened without having to actually, write it.
Yeah. It's fucking great. Um so meanwhile, while Leanne is banging this dude in the alley, Celeste had followed them. She sees it. Here's the fact that he's like calling her Celeste like way too often.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you did that to any chick, she'd just be like, "All right, get off of me. This is over."
Is that what I've been doing wrong? I mean, listen, I have to say someone's name several times, but it really sticks. And
So that you don't forget.
yeah, and like if she's still wearing her name tag, it's a good time to get it in.
Oh boy. But
Because
the thing that
you
was
give her one before you go home. Like, let's go back to my place and make some name tags.
what was really weird about the dude, he came up to her while she was jogging. And he goes, "Oh, Celeste," she took the hair down. But his instant reaction was, "Oh, thank God you're not Leanne." It's like
I know, kind of a dick
you
move,
didn't do
right?
any sort of like checking or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, "Oh, thank God you're not that bitch."
Like, as the woman expert between the two of us, is that how I'm supposed to be getting hooked up? Like by calling her sister a bitch? Because I
Well,
haven't been doing that.
oh, damn. Yeah, that's how you get in, literally.
Just like, do I insult her mom too, or just her sister?
No, no, not the mom's the second time around because you can't go sister twice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be sister then mom, then
Okay.
then dad, and you're straight.
Yeah, but do you start off by insulting her sister?
Yes,
Okay.
but you got to make sure she's not the sister first, and then insult the sister right to her face because
I don't know. I
that.
mean, 100% of guys who have tried that have scored in my experience.
Oh damn, I got to try it then.
Checkmate, atheist.
So after the alley scene, Celeste she leaves. She joins the hippie camp with what's his nuts there, Sergio. And this was my least favorite sequence of the movie because the movie was what it was, right? We all knew what we were gonna get. There's
I mean,
no
I didn't. If you had said, "Hey, there's only be one person topless in this movie. Who's it going to be?" I wouldn't have said, "Oh yeah, Sergio."
uh, that was disappointing. But anyways,
So they
it,
bond over their scars.
yeah, it's like
The
some
only bonding
weird
they do.
like cult scenario. It's
Yeah.
really strange.
Oh, you mean the shirtless yoga teacher who takes 8 women out into the woods alone is a cult leader?
Yeah, yeah.
I
And then
completely
gets
I
20 grand
completely
from one
missed
of them.
that. And takes their money.
You think he banged each one and they each gave him a chunk of change?
I mean, how else does he keep himself waxed? But I mean, that was Sergio was such a weird character. He just came out of nowhere, said some like weird yoga stuff. Now they're in love. Here's $20,000.
Yep. Isn't that how it goes? Again, you're doing it wrong.
I mean, apparently.
You never got $20,000 from a girl after you took her out into the woods?
I mean, the average American has like $500 in the bank.
Yeah.
So I think I've been banging chicks on the lower 80% of the economy. I
Yeah.
haven't, but I haven't been calling women right after their mom dies.
Ah, see?
Yeah, I know. Like, this is what I gotta do: find the obituary, hit up Facebook, figure out which family member to insult.
Yep.
Just insult them before they actually say anything. Eye contact. What a bitch. And then wax my nipples and steal them to get the money.
Yeah.
This is.
Much.
Is this a movie about twins, or is this that whole like what was that weird things on the internet for like the game where it's like they teach you like how to insult women to get laid?
Like negging?
Yeah, like I remember the dude was on Conan, not the barbarian, the redheaded late night guy.
Sure.
He comes out in a hat. He gives Conan like a pair of swimming goggles to wear to the club. And then he's like, that way a woman will walk up to you and say she does, and ask you why you have the goggles, and she's into you.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I've been to the club. I didn't see anyone with a snorkel. You telling me no one got laid that night because they forgot their swim gear?
I think so.
Enough about roasting a guy we're not talking about. Let's start roasting Sergio.
So up until this point of the movie, I was on Celeste's side, right? Mm-hmm. Which, think about that statement for a second. So she split on her sister, which I get because she banged the mama's boy guy.
Okay. We need to put that. She didn't just bang mama's boy. She pretended to be her, and then fucked the guy she had a crush on.
Yes. The thing about it, though, is imagine you were going in business with someone, and they were all in per your crazy brain, but they were all in, and then they took half of the money that you guys were putting in on the business you just opened.
Okay, a little context here.
Yeah.
I can't call it evil and good sister anymore because we're trying to flip that narrative, that script. The sister that didn't fall down the stairs took both checks and put them into the business without asking the other sister. They must have, or they should have, had enough money to open the yoga studio without the money because they already had an opening date. It was set in stone before her mother died. That money, they could have opened the yoga studio without any of the money, and she took the money and spent both of their sides of it for a business that was already going to open.
Right.
So that would be like if you and I were going to start a podcast, hypothetically speaking.
Weird idea.
Yeah. Just imagine that like we both got some money. You took my money and decided to spend it on podcasting equipment.
That's true. All right. It's fair enough.
Of course I'm going to empty the account and leave the area. But I'm also going to go, but if I was doing that, I would also leave you a sticky note with like the double fingers on it. I'd probably pee in your coffee.
Damn. Can you at least pee in my Red Bull?
Then you wouldn't notice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to have some asparagus and make sure you know what happened.
So there was a point, right? Yeah. And I don't remember which sister it was, but this was later on in the movie. There was another jogging scene, and it seemed like, I think it was Celeste, but it seemed like they were trying to show that she was running fast. But by doing so, they just did a weird close-up, like on shoulders up, instead of showing like her entire. It just was really strange.
Steven Seagal'd it.
Yeah, Steven Seagal from China Salesman.
No, from any Steven Seagal movie.
And he runs pretty well in Out for Justice. I'll give him that. That was in like 1992.
Okay, yeah, that was
Also,
about
the only other
150 pounds
movie
ago.
I've seen.
That was 5 gallons of hair dye ago, sir.
But it was just really strange, just how they closed in on her running. Because
Yeah,
I don't know if they were trying to show her fast or just like I don't know what it was, but clearly she wasn't running. She was just hopping in place.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange.
Yeah, they tried to. I thought the running would be an issue later, like oh she's gonna outrun her sister or something like that. But no, her sister just hits her in the back of the head anyway. Spoilers for the movie we already spoiled, but yeah. So I mean the running was basically a plot device to get her away from the camp so that her sister could impersonate her again.
That's right. That's what it was. Okay. So
And I guess they had to show her running fast so they could show why she was away for so long.
yeah.
Did she get lost? I lost the sequence of events there. Did she get lost? Like, how did the whole group get away from her so fast?
Yeah, I thought she just strayed away, and that's when Leanne shows up at the hippie camp at the cult convention there, and she just starts to like break down Celeste's life again, right?
Yeah.
She's like doing all sorts of weird things, around the camp, and she ends up killing redhead girl who we haven't mentioned yet. Right?
I mean, do we need to?
No, not really. She's just there so that she can be killed. Because you can't just kill, one person. You gotta.
Yeah. You have to have the meaningless conversation first.
Pretty much. And
yeah, and also Sergio couldn't tell them apart. Like you would think the yoga guy who can see the spirit energies or whatever he was doing.
Well, he should have banged
like,
Leanne too, right?
Can you say that again?
He should have banged Leanne too, because then he could tell them apart. Because I'm sure she's a lot looser than Celeste, right? Is this going a weird path?
I'm just gonna leave that one just hanging out there.
Yeah. So she being Leanne goes into the woods with Sergio, breaks away from the group, and straight up stabs him in the chest. We're never told if he ended up dying or not. At one point she goes, "Oh my god, he's still alive," but then he's still just like left in the woods.
I never realized that, but then again, I never cared.
No, not at all.
I spent the whole time just hating Sergio. Like,
yep.
I mean, this guy's like the whole time he's on the screen, he's either complaining about money or taking money from an emotionally fragile woman. And I mean, honestly, like it's kind of fraudy. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's like your mom's dead. Oh, thanks for the money. Also, I love you. I mean, that's not. So yeah, I think I've said enough about that. But also, if he's worried about money and being broke, which is his only purpose in the movie to getting the money, which then creates the plot for the second half of the movie. Why is he going out into the camp? Like, it's an expensive camp they've got there. It's all hardwood, glass doors in the middle of nowhere. Air conditioning in the middle of nowhere is expensive. It takes a long distance to run those utility lines.
Yep.
I mean, that is a prime location, and he's renting the whole thing. Maybe he could have had a cheaper cult outing and saved his business.
Yeah.
This has been Jeremy the Accountant. Movie reviews. Yoga studios. If you run a yoga studio and you need help running your business, I think I've demonstrated I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So give me a call. I'll help you out for $40,000.
Yeah, we can get that started here.
I also put in here, for a guy that exercises all the time, because yoga is exercise, he got stabbed like a bitch. I mean, this guy, yoga is a terrible self-defense program. He should have been doing Tai Chi.
Yeah. Krav Maga, something along those lines.
No, I mean Krav Maga would break his little wrist.
Oh, that's true. So, let's see here. The last thing that we got to talk about is the van, right? That's the final scene, the final act.
Oh yes, $3.5 million spent on that CGI.
Yeah. So after killing or not killing Sergio, hopefully killing, but uh, Leanne clubs Celeste with, I guess, a rock, and they wake up in this van, and there's they're driving, and Leanne is being crazy again because the cops had been called because random chick in the cult found the redhead in Celeste's closet. So, there's a whole thing. And Leanne saying, "Oh, we got to change our names. You can pick who you want to be and all this stuff." So eventually they drive off the road per Celeste's hand and get into a little fight, like siblings do.
Yeah,
And then Celeste proceeds to drive off a cliff. And it's kind of like this slow motion, like, weird action going on, which actually, all things considered in this movie, wasn't too bad. It's actually done fairly well.
I
It
think I
was
know how
kind of
they
like
did it. I think I know how they. I think what they did was they put a green screen on the windshield of the van, and then they took a picture of the ground and then just like used the mouse wheel to zoom in.
right.
I think that's what they did.
And yeah. So there's this weird, it was kind of like an Inception type sequence in slow motion. And there was this, there's a crash. They don't really show it. And eventually we wake up and Leanne has survived and she's selling the house. What is it? The mother's house?
Wait, how do we know it was Leanne?
Because of the look in her eye. Did you think
Ah,
it was Celeste?
um, I thought it was supposed to be a mystery, and so I
Oh,
assumed that they were trying to trick me into thinking it was Celeste
yeah.
because I forget what she did, like because she was doing like the handstand.
Uh-huh.
So I
But
thought,
she
well,
didn't have the scar.
no, she had the scar. They both had a scar at the end. That's the issue.
Oh, that's true.
Because Leanne gave herself the scar and then ran around bleeding for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Sure, there's some sort of innuendo there for something.
Let's not get into that. Yeah, but I was almost positive it was Leanne, but I guess if it's left up to the audience, but um
But I mean, earlier you sounded pretty confident you could tell them apart. So I feel like
yeah,
you just know
the
it's Leanne, or you were
absolutely.
bullshitting me.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, then it's
That's what
Leanne.
it is, Leanne. Okay.
Have some confidence in your confidence.
So I had a little fact here, and this is based on a true story, and this is the ABC News, take it for what you will, headline.
What's
Woman
Sergio's name in real life?
Dawn. Woman acquitted of murder in crash that killed twin sister. This is from 2016, 2 years before this movie was made. Alexandra Duvall's twin Anastasia died in May of 2016 crash in Maui. So, a woman accused of deliberately driving off a Hawaii cliff and killing her identical twin sister was acquitted of murder on Thursday. So, whether or not this is, she was some sort of evil twin, this is still relatively based on a true story. Um, and they actually both had changed their names. So Alexandra and Anastasia Duvall were born as the Dadow, Dadow sisters, and I
I
can't
see
find.
DU. I see DUVAL.
Right.
DUVAL Duval.
That was their okay. So the sisters born Allison and Ann Dadow ran popular yoga studios in Florida before changing their names. According to the Associated Press, they moved to Hawaii in 2015. So there you go, based roughly or closely or what on a true story. So I thought that
2 plot points are based on our true story.
yeah, driving off the cliff and sisters.
Well, no, the yoga.
Oh, yoga, so 3.
Well, well, this says successful yoga studios, so yeah. We've established they can't balance a checkbook.
Yeah. So this movie on IMDb with 352 ratings got a 4.1 out of 10. So
that's a little over. I would have gone like a 3.2.
Yeah. So I take it you don't recommend this movie.
I mean, if you're really into twins, I guess this might be your thing. Like, if you like them crazy, if you like them crazy and identical, this is your movie.
This movie had 10 out of 10 review on IMDb. No more bridge. This movie was great. Well filmed, great script, and I can't wait to see more of the Strained Sisters. So, as you said, Jeremy, if you're into twins, if you're really into twins, especially kind of thick twins, which I'm totally into, 10 out of 10. That was my review. No, I personally, I didn't really like this movie. Shocker. But I think it is worth a watch. It has its entertaining points, and just the sister being as nutty as she is, I think it's a kind of a basic story, but you could get some enjoyment out of it.
I think I would have enjoyed it more if they had like tried to M. Night Shyamalan ding dong this by having some surprising things happen.
Sure. Yeah, it could have done with a little more suspense. Absolutely.
If they could have made us, if they could have head faked us, and like had the evil twin be the one with the scar because she threw herself down the stairs, something like that,
and blamed it on the sister, and that affected the sister's whole.
No, just like hurting herself, so that they're not separated, would have been a good thing, would have been like a good twist.
Also, with the ending, they could have done a thing where it's like, Celeste, like they say Celeste, right? The sister was trying so hard to control Celeste's life that Celeste is actually the one that died, but since obviously they're identical, it's actually Leanne. Like, there should have been some sort of distinguishing remark that the normal person couldn't notice, but I could. Saying this is Celeste, but it's actually Leanne because she spent, she was trying to replace her the whole time.
See, when I thought the distinguishing thing was the handstand, because Leanne doesn't do yoga. And Celeste had that weird conversation about how her fear keeps her from being able to do a handstand.
Yeah.
So doing the handstand at the end showed that Celeste had overcome her fear, which was basically, because she killed her sister. In self-defense, I should add. That was definitely self-defense because she had a knife and shit. But I thought the handstand was like, I was like, oh, that's Celeste. Yeah, there's the thing of she overcame her fear that they introduced in one conversation.
Huh. Okay, fair enough. Maybe that's what it was insinuating, that she actually, because it was Leanne. It was definitely Leanne.
But Leanne wasn't in shape. Like, she wouldn't have gotten out of the hospital able to do a handstand.
Yeah. But maybe that's why. Maybe she practiced the handstand so she could be
in the hospital.
No, this doesn't exactly say how long, how far into the future it is, does it? At the end, it doesn't say if it's, a week, a month, a year later. So, she could have been practicing that to say, you thought Celeste was the only one that could do the handstand, but I'm Celeste now.
I feel like they would have just had 3 minutes of handstand practice then, because everything else has been pretty on the nose.
Yeah. So that could have been the ambiguous ending we're looking for. 10 out of 10.
All right, this is a must watch.
Yes.
The M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I think overall it's you could get some enjoyment out of it. It's not a complete dud. It's kind of like a 5 out of 10 to me, maybe a little less, but there were some redeeming qualities, but most of them weren't.
Yeah, for me, the predictability just made it like extra
Yeah.
boring. I was like, okay, so how long do I have to wait for her to stab someone? Oh, 25 minutes. How long do I have to wait for them to reveal that she pushed it down the stairs? An hour. How long do I have to wait for her to kill Sergio? 8 minutes. When is one twin gonna die? Probably at the end. It was all a little too by the numbers for, my giant brain.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I cannot get over the fact that they tried to trick me at the end. I just can't process the idea that it was Leanne.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like I don't think you're lying when you say you can tell them apart. I just
Yeah.
think, nah.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, I'm just gonna Google this. End of Downward Twin. Which one was alive?
That's a weird way to type it, but it was Leanne. Trust me. I spent my life deciphering twins.
Okay, so at vocal.media/geeks/Twinsanity.
That trusted source.
This one says Celeste had survived the crash and she survived the thing, but it doesn't tell us how they knew it was Celeste.
Yeah, I mean, I always go to media dot whatever the hell you said for my for my news. I don't even remember any of the website you just said.
I mean, they didn't use any proof or argument. They just say it.
Yeah. So,
Downward Twin ending explained. I'm not letting this go
out there. But who do you think survived? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on Twitter at Media Men Online. Jeremy's gonna rack his brain on this one while I give some of the closing remarks. So I won't cut it off till you're ready, but head over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. Head over to mediamen.podbean.com.
No, we're not done yet. I just read the evidence for why Celeste is the one being alive.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so at the end, the evidence that it's Celeste is due to her scar being old and long-healed, and the fact that at the end she was shown with a bag of buzzy beans, Sergio's favorite, but Leanne never had a chance to find out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Leanne had no idea that he liked buzzy beans.
Yep.
And this is Dan thinking he knows what eyes look like.
Yep.
We'll talk to y'all next time.
Listen to this. She is Celeste now, so technically Celeste did survive.
That's not how memory works. The one who survived knew about the buzzy beans.
You don't know how it works.
I'm pretty sure I know how it works. I went to college, and I learned that about anatomy. The brain does not fit outside the head. The ears are too small.
I don't get it.
You can't
On that
swap
note,
brains.
You Should Have Left is the title of the movie we're watching next time, as well as how much sooner we should have ended the show. Bye.
must think this rather odd.
Why?
I suppose you must think this rather odd.
Why?
Anyway, it's only temporary. Just until we can get a real geek.
Geek?
Psychologists admit the validity of mental telepathy under certain...
I thought this looked like one of those joints.
Psychologists admit the validity of mental telepathy under certain...
I heard you the first time.
You ever been psychoanalyzed?
No. I saw one in a murder movie once. A good mentalist could have straightened the whole thing out in 5 minutes.
I'm sure you could have. How did you know my mother was dead?
I didn't. I just had a feeling that your question wasn't on the level. I figured you were trying to make a chump out of me. It's just common sense.
It's not so common.
I don't know about that.
Why?
I've got that same feeling right now.